crack myself up. I still haven't found my first Blantons.
That's different. I really like that.
They're like together, like peas and carrots.
That's funny. Sometimes accidents are good things. Peshads or pachads or pachaw. This is not what I expected. And hello, it's Monday and it's time to rock. It's time to drink is what it's time to do. Yeah, get a little drinking done. It's at least we're not late this week, right? So, okay, we're going to do it. This is a Smokewagon. This is a small batch. Nevada H&C Distilling Company got its start in 2012 in an area not normal to the bourbon making world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Smokewagon small batch was first released in 2016. Now, I normally define a high rye somewhere around 18% and up from there. About the highest I've been seeing is about 27% for a bourbon using rye. This one blows all of that out of the water. The mash bill on this is 60% corn, 36% rye, and only 4% malted barley. So it took a little while for Smokewagon to get talked about in Ohio. First we were talking about the uncut, unfiltered. And they're like, oh, you have to get this, it's the best thing ever. And then they found out about uncut, the younger. Oh, you got to get this one, it's the best thing ever. Well, now people are talking about the small batch. And everybody I talk to about the small batch is not disappointed. They really like it. As a matter of fact, there's some taste tests going on. They're putting this up against E.H. Taylor, which is an odd choice, but they're saying that it's winning taste tests because the mash bills are completely different. Again, 60% corn, 36% rye, and 4% malted barley, whereas E.H. Taylor is about 75% corn, 10% rye, so they say less than 10% rye, and about 15% malted barley. So it's 60% to 75%, 36% to 10%, and 4% malted barley to 15% malted barley in the E.H. Taylor. So they're making that comparison, and okay, all right. They're not anywhere close to each other, but we're going to give it a shot, and we'll figure that out. Everybody really likes it. Let me get back to this. It amazes me also how many people that say they like this, but then they tell me they don't like rye, because this is 36% rye. But then again, this is a Nevada rye. Or is it? No, it isn't. This is a Indiana rye. This is just MGP distillate. But here's the stuff that I know about it. How it's aged, where it's aged, and where the barrels are sourced makes up a huge piece of the puzzle of the mouth or the flavor profile. So if you got a 36% rye, lack of humidity in Las Vegas. Barrels, where are they coming from? How cold do the nights get? They can get cold, but not as cold as, other parts of the nation. So it's a Lawrenceburg rye, which is a spicy rye. It is aged in the Nevada desert in a 100-year-old warehouse. It contains specifically blended older stock and younger stock. It's not chill filtered. And they age their whiskey in older barrels, aged barrels. But of course, it is newly charred oak barrels. So here's what they're saying at Nevada H&C Distilling. They say this. I wrote it down, typed it, copied and pasted it. Our goal was to create a unique, great-tasting, high rye content bourbon. The problem is that rye ages much faster than corn. So while our younger vintages had a big rye spice flavor, which we love, the mouthfeel was too thin and lacked the sweet, delicate complexity of a well-aged spirit. Our older vintages had the smoothness and sweet notes that can only be achieved by moving in and out of number 4 char and caramelized oak for many, many years, but the nice rye spice had aged out. So what to do? Find the perfect blend. They combine the two. The younger vintages maintain the bold spiciness of the rye, cut down on the tannins, and keep it fruit forward. The older vintage brings in a creamy mouthfeel with sweet aromas and taste notes that only appear over time from aging in a barrel. So that's how they do it. You see the two guns and the phrase "bibimus moriendum est," which basically says "drink, for we must die." I like that. According to the company, drink and enjoy today because we won't be around forever. So we're doing this one because in 6 months I'm going to come back and I'm going to do that taste test and we're going to put it up against D.H. Taylor. I haven't even taken this out of here for a while. This has been open. This has been open probably 2.5, 3 years, and I still have that much left of it. But in 6 months we're going to taste this tonight, right off the neck, and then in 6 months after it's had time to breathe and age and mellow out, then we're going to put the two together. So. All right, so who am I? Nate's watching. Aaron is watching. Hi, guys. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for watching. All right, so let's do it. Let's do this. All right. That's a nice little pour right there. So I told you last week that or maybe 2 weeks ago, that I was starting an experiment. And I guess we'll get to this in a minute with these great big, and Chris is watching. Hey, Chris, these big bags, right? These big OHLQ bags. And somebody told me that they like to put their ice spheres in these bags because they don't end up getting like all that terrible frost all over them if you let them sit for too long. Well, it worked. I've got... It's funny because somebody just texted me. What are you doing? There's actually ridges in my ice sphere because of the bag. All right. So pull this back. Okay. There we go. All right. So let's get into this. This is Smokewagon small batch. Ooh. That's a nice nose. You know how they said on the other side that the younger vintages have a big rye spice flavor. The older vintages had the smoothness and sweet notes. And I'm getting some of that. Just got a bottle of this. Excited to try mine. You just open it right now. Hey, Chris, come on. Open that bad boy. Drink with me. Really nice nose. Boy, there's caramel and vanilla, but there's also a kind of a fruitiness. My back itches, and I found my spoon. Okay. Really nice, actually. And then they went on to say, the younger vintages maintain the bold spiciness of the rye, cut down the tannins, and keep it fruit forward. Older vintage brings in the creamy mouthfeel with sweet aromas and taste notes. And boy, I'm liking. Hey, Mike, how are you doing? Yeah, the cinnamons and vanillas are really nice there. A little bit of that fruit forward. I can't tell you what it is. It almost comes off as like lemon. Is lemon a fruit? I guess it is. And there's maybe a little raspberry. Whew, a little ethanol too. This one is 100 proof. Yeah, all right. All right. First of all, that drink's hotter than 100 proof. Right off the neck, it drinks hotter than 100 proof. But what's good about that being 100 proof is this is 100 proof as well. And this is what I'm going to put it up against in 6 months. Brandon, hey, how are you doing, sir? Glad you're with us. We're doing Smokewagon small batch. I kind of gave all the lowdown on it. We're doing the actual tasting now. This is potent. Right off the neck, which is the way I always try them. That's definitely got some heat and some spice. But, okay, let's actually do the tasting now. Okay, I'm getting a lot of that spiciness. There's some red hot there, definitely some cinnamon. That Lawrenceburg rye spice, 36%. If somebody who hates rye but likes this, that's a strange bedfellow that you would not like rye but like this. Because that 36% rye is definitely peeking itself out. It's very good. I like Lawrenceburg rye a lot. And for me, this is a really nice pour. Cinnamons are what's really smacking me more than anything else. A little bit of that red hot candy. See what else I can find in it. Gonna do a tasting of all four I have with friends soon. Oh, that's good. That's good. What you might think about doing, particularly with this one, is get yourself a decanter or something and open it, pour it out, and then pour it back in the bottle and cork it. That way you don't have to taste it. You might smell it a little bit. But sometimes if I hear that that a pour is going to be harsh, and this isn't harsh, don't get me wrong, but if I think that if I hear that a pour is if I'm going to judge it unfairly because I haven't uncorked it yet, you might do that with this one. I'm guessing it's going to mellow out because the rye spice on this it's warm and it's really good. But I'm just wondering what this is going to be like if I try it again. Excuse me, in a couple of weeks. Yeah, that's really good. It's really, really good. The fruit notes are really sedate. The fruit notes are much, much heavier on the nose. They are still there on the palate. They're just not nearly as forward. They're right. I'm not getting the tannins on the palate, but I am getting some of those tannins on the back end. The legs are long. The legs are very long. So this is one that you could sit there and you could sip it. You could take an hour to go through, this glass if you weren't doing a tasting like me, because it's really, really long. It's still there. Now it's starting to subside a little bit, and the legs on this are really very nice too. There's some tobacco notes on it. All right, let's go through it again. I got about enough for one more. Okay, so there's some honey. I'm trying to find it all. There's a lot. This is a complex pour. I like a complex pour. I like one that has a lot of different things happening, that every time I take another sip of it, I find something else. Cinnamons are still strong, a little red hot. There's some... the vanillas. I'm not going to tell you I'm getting caramel off of this. I'm not getting caramel. Maybe some peanuts. The fruit notes, like I said, there's just a little bit there, maybe a little raspberry in there. But it's really sedate on the palate compared to the nose. Maybe even a little black cherry. I'm going to have to just do one more. I hope it keeps coming to Ohio, because this is actually quite nice. This is my second Smokewagon that I've tried. I have not tried the Uncut the Younger, and I haven't tried the Malted Rye. I do like rye. I haven't felt the need to buy it. The malted rye stays on the shelf a lot longer, so I'm not in a big hurry to get it. And it's been coming in pretty regularly to the stores, so I've been seeing it all over the place. Lorena's watching. Hey, Lorena, how are you? Hope you had a fantastic weekend and a wonderful Monday. Anytime you have a Monday and you're on this side of the grass, that's a plus. All right. Okay, I take it back. On the palate, there's some caramel. It disappears as you do the swallow, and when you get into the finish, that's when darker notes like tobacco, cinnamon sticking around. There's long legs on this. This is one of the longest finishes of any bourbon I've ever drank. Even the heat, even the bloom is staying, and the bloom, it kind of went everywhere. It wasn't like it started in the center and went out. It was just kind of everywhere. I even have it at the back of this lip right here. So that's a very, very nice pour. Very nice pour. Very much like this. Very much like this. All right, let's do some water. This is a really fantastic pour. This may move up into my top 3 as far as bourbons go. As far as what's available bourbons go, let's put it that way. I'm asked all the time, you go into a liquor store, what do you buy? My top 3 are generally going to be the bourbons. This is just the bourbons. My top 3 that are generally available all the time are Old Forester 1920. That's number 1. The second one is the New Riff Single Barrel. Both of those are like out-of-body experiences for me. They're so complex, and there's just flavor coming from everywhere. And then I was saying that Kentucky Owl Confiscated was number 3, because I really like that pour a lot. I know a lot of people don't want to like it because they don't know anything about it. Well, I don't know anything about it either. I just know that I really, really like it. This may bump the Kentucky Owl out of the top 3 and replace it. This is a very, very nice pour. Looks like the video maybe has frozen. So I'm just going to keep going and hope that it uncorks itself. See what I did there? You may be able to hear me. So even though it looks like the video is frozen. So Spectrum, I don't know. I got Spectrum Internet, and they've just been a little bit unreliable lately. Maybe if I refresh it. Hey, Lorena. All right, I don't know if I can. Yeah, let's try that. Yeah, it looks like it's frozen. All right, well, bear with me. I could reset the router, but then I'd be gone completely. You'll have to watch the YouTube version later because it will be clean. It won't have all these jitteriness. All right. Okay, so on water, picking up some honey on the nose. Still that red hot, that cinnamon, but a little bit of honey that wasn't there before. Those floral notes are still there. That's nice. All right. Okay, the water brought that proof down significantly. You're choppy but not frozen. Okay, thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. It was completely frozen on my end, on my phone, so I do keep it as a monitor. But I can see now that it's choppy, so just bear with me. And if you can't stand it, then that's fine. I understand. I'll put it up on YouTube later on, and you'll be able to see it on YouTube. I owe YouTube. This will be video number 3 that I owe YouTube that I haven't done. All right. So, like I said, a little bit of honey. The floral notes have subsided some, and the proof really went down. And maybe I didn't give myself a big enough pour, but the proof went way down. I'm not getting near that burn that I got when it was neat. It's very good. Even with a little water on it. I don't think I gave myself a very big pour. But even with water on it, this is a very, very flavorful pour. The mouthfeel improved as well. Now the mouthfeel to begin with wasn't so bad. I really rather liked it. But adding a little water to it, boy, it got silky, buttery. Definitely brought out that unfiltered feel of it. It was really nice. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay, now that ice sphere that we were talking about. You won't be able to see this, but I can definitely see where the bag put ridges in it. So it must have started to melt at one point. I don't know. Maybe I had it out too long. That's really good. That is really good. If you see the Smokewagon small batch, buy it. It's really good. All right. And since I have the spoon, I will use the spoon. Old Faithful. Did you see that geyser? All right. Sometimes that's just easier. That brought down quite a bit of that proof again as well. Even though this is a nice sphere, a clear one, and it's not going to melt as fast, and it's not going to dilute as fast, that coldness did bring down that proof some. At least the perceived proof, right? Brought out the heat, took out the heat, however you want to look at that. Still some really nice flavor. The heat's gone. A lot of those really complex notes are gone, but it still tastes really nice on ice. Would I drink it this way? Probably not. I don't like my bourbon necessarily cold. If I'm in the mood for a cold drink, I'll do gin or vodka. Or I'll make a old-fashioned or a Sazerac or something like that. So, all right. So I was asked to not only go over the bourbons, but I was asked to do like some current news. So here's what you can look for coming up this week as far as I know. First is the Maker's Mark. Now I understand the Maker's Mark has some special Ohio bottles. There's 5 or 6 of them. It's another, they name them, there's special names for them, and they're hitting Ohio only. Some stores got them last week. Others may get them this week. So you can be looking for those makers that are coming out. Also, I believe this week, Rabbit Hole Distillery is putting out some very special Ohio bottles. Some of them are barrel proof. They've got a very special look to the bottles. They do this each year sometime. And I believe it's either the Cave Hill or the Boxer Grail. That's coming out this week, and so you can look for that in your liquor stores this week as well. They're not going to go to all of them, but they will go to a lot of them, so keep an eye out for that. What else? See if there's anything else that I can think of that's relatively new. You might look for OKI. Batch 1, the one that was out last year that lit the internet on fire, has been seeing Ohio liquor stores again. So if you see the OKI Batch 1 bourbon, buy it. Okay? Smokewagon's still making its way to the shelves. I believe there's supposed to be a new... what did I hear? I forget what it was now. Complete... gone. Anyway, so the Maker's Mark, the Rabbit Hole, watch for those this week for sure. And if you haven't picked up that OKI Batch 1 bourbon, do that. Yeah, that's what's new this week, as far as I know. That's what I'm reading on OHLQ, and that's what I'm seeing on emails that come to me from Maker's Mark, because I'm an ambassador, as well as OHLQ. So just keep an eye on those things this week. All right, next week. I'm switching things up again. I was going to do this 2 weeks from now, but I'm going to do it next week, and there's a reason for it. Because next year, 6 months, we're going to be doing some comparisons. I'm going to compare the Smokewagon Small Batch with the E.H. Taylor. And then, I've been hearing about this one. Now, we tried the regular Green River a few weeks ago, and I liked it. And what I haven't been able to tell you about Green River yet is, although it seemed a little bit thin on the mouthfeel when I first opened it, after I revisited it later that week, the viscosity had really grown, got more creamy on the mouth. So if you're afraid of Green River because of my review, don't be. It's got a great flavor to it. It's a nice pour. But after you pour that neck out, let it sit for a week, and you're going to see an improvement. Now, I've been hearing great things about this one. This is the wheated Green River. This is from the same distillery, obviously. Still bears the marker DSPKY10, which means it's the 10th oldest distillery in Kentucky that had to deal with Lincoln's excise taxes that funded the Civil War. So that's what that's all about. This is 90 proof. We'll get into this one next week. And the reason I want to do it next week, I had another one planned, but I'm going to get into this one next week. And the reason is because 6 months from now, I'm going to put this up against a couple Wellers. Put it up against the Weller Red and the Weller Green. Why? Well, because I hear people who want Weller and only Weller. And as a bourbon steward, and as somebody who frequents liquor stores, I need to be able to help somebody come up with an alternative, right? Because it ain't the Bernheim. I love the Bernheim, but it tastes like baked bread. There's no similarity from the Bernheim to the Weller at all. There's no similarity to me from Maker's Mark and Weller. Maker's Mark is a wheated bourbon. Weller is a wheated bourbon. Maker's Mark, I don't like it. I like the 46. And I mean, we'll get into some Makers next year. I've got a whole bunch of it, and I've tried some of it, and it's great in a cocktail, but I'm not a fan of Makers at all. Like I said, I like the Makers 46 just fine. But Makers is not a substitute for Weller either. So there's Wheat Penny. Larceny is not a substitute for Weller at all. It just isn't. They just don't taste the same. So my mission is to find a substitute for Weller that I can tell people about. And maybe it's this one. Maybe it's Wheat Penny from Cleveland Distillery. I haven't tried that one yet. There's a bunch of them out there, and there's a weeded one from Woodford Reserve that I haven't even tried. So substitute's going to be out there somewhere. Weller is that one product that is just so unique that it's tough to see if there's anything else like it. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Steve is watching. Hey, Steve, how are you? I apologize for the choppy video, but later on it'll be on YouTube, and it'll look a lot better because I'm filming this on camera while it's streaming live. So, all right, so Green River next week, and then I promise at some point we're going to get into those base models, right? We're going to get into the ones that everybody can buy every single day. I've already done Bullet, but I've never done Wild Turkey 101. I've never done Knob Creek. Some of those shelfers that are there all the time, the simple everyday, I can buy it right now and it's still great. I haven't done them. So at some point I'm going to get into those, but there's just so many things to drink. People talk to me about, oh, we really want the Buffalo Trace. There's so much on the shelf. This is fantastic. This is in my top 3 bourbons now, at least the ones that are readily available and you can get. The Smokewagon Small Batch is really quite fantastic, and I can recommend it wholeheartedly. Very, very good. The 36% rye content in the mash bill, it's there off the neck, but it doesn't present itself as a high rye, which is really interesting. Really interesting. All right, guys, I appreciate your time tonight. I'm sorry for the video being a little bit choppy, but, the YouTube version won't look like that. Next week, again, the Green River Wheated. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you there as well. And, hey, drink responsibly.